The Black Talk Radio Network is made possible in part with help from the Black Talk Media Project, a North Carolina-based nonprofit engaged in the production and distribution of independent digital black media. Find out more by going to blacktalkradionetwork.com or blacktalkmediaproject.org and look for the menu tab, Crowdfunding Black Media. Black Talk Media Project, helping to provide you with new black media for the new millennium. And opinions expressed by callers, guests, and hosts do not necessarily reflect those of the Black Talk Radio Network and Black Talk Media Project. Black Talk Radio is new black media for the new millennium.
Welcome into the Mind, Body, and Spirit radio show tonight. It is Wednesday, February the 8th. Already, February the 8th. Oh my gosh. Breezing through this month. Let me see. Welcome in, Featherlight. How are you, Featherlight?
Namaste. I'm splendid. How are you, Black Rose?
Namaste. I'm splendid as well. I'm splendid as well. You know, we're here in Houston. We did have the Super Bowl here this past weekend. And it was, I'm sure, just completely packed and fun. And I'm certain people had just a glorious time here in the big city of Houston. The weather was beautiful. Sun shining. It wasn't hot. It wasn't cold. Sunday, it did look like it was a little cloudy, like early in the day, but then, as usual, here in Houston, the sun came out, and it was absolutely beautiful. I think a lot of people were hoping or expecting the Atlanta Falcons to win, but they did not win the Super Bowl. So, and I also heard, who was it, the Broncos? Let me say, look, I don't even know who was the other team that played in the Super Bowl. Whoever it was, I know those, let me see, Super Bowl 17. Who was it, the Patriots or somebody?
Yes.
It just goes to show you how much I paid attention to it.
I remember hearing that name.
Right, so the score was 34 to 28 Patriots. New England Patriots won. And I have been seeing that some of the Patriots are refusing to go to the White House for the annual Super Bowl ceremony, like when the players come to the White House and all of that. So a number of them have refused to go because of their sentiments towards Trump. I said, oh, my goodness. These people are upset, girlfriend.
Yes,
they are truly upset. So, yeah, life goes on, people. I mean, it really does. Life goes on. I mean, I can understand if you don't want to go to the White House. I totally can understand it. But, I mean, so many people are, depressed and just, out of it about this whole deal. But anyway, we want to welcome people in to our Mind, Body, and Spirit show tonight. And tonight we are talking about alternative healing and spirit talk. And our spirit talk segment is just when we just get down to the whole spirit matters of it all. Just talk about some mind, body, and spirit talk. Just that healthy, good old spirit talk. And so you can join in. You can always catch us on YouTube. Yeah, lift your vibrations. You can catch us on YouTube live right now. You can go into Black Talk Radio Network and listen to us live. And if you would like to call in, you just dial 1-866-510-9028. And we will get you in. And you know that you can always send your letters to mindbodyspiritradioshow at gmail.com. And we'll respond to your letters about life, your spiritual journey, health, relationships, dating, career questions, love, and sex. Just going to bring back that tantric teaching segment for us so we can get more into some tantric teachings and learn about the tantric connection. I love all of that tantric talk. I absolutely love it. But
it puts a new twist to romance, to making love.
I'm in the mood for love.
It takes making love to a new height,
Higher heights, baby. That's where we want to go.
Higher
Here
heights,
at the Mind, Body,
and
Spirit.
deeper and higher. Both ways.
Deeper and deeper. I love it. Diving deep for those deep divers, baby.
Right.
Indeed. So tonight we're going to talk about alternative healing. So we'll talk tonight about some Tai Chi and Qigong and meditation, benefits of meditation, and you're also going to talk to us about moving mudras and mudras, Feather Light.
Yes. Mudras, hand signals. Yes.
Yes.
We see them a lot. The different people, politicians, speakers, entertainers. So
exactly.
They mean something.
Definitely. Hand motions and movements. Very powerful when you get into the science of it all. Definitely. In the news today, which has seriously been a hot topic, and which may be of concern to parents if you have some children in public schools or even private schools. Billionaire Betsy DeVos was confirmed today as Secretary of Education, and her appointment and confirmation has been the most controversial of cabinet seats, what people are saying in history. So she is a proponent of Christian schools, vouchers in private schools, and which that encompasses charter schools. And it all sounds really good when you talk about Christian schools. I mean, my little cousin went to a Christian school, okay, and she was getting a pretty good education there, I must say. Excuse me. She went to, but two of my cousins started out at Christian schools, and really I think they should have stayed there. Then I have a godson that was enrolled in a private school. I think he should have stayed there. Me personally, although I, of course, support public schools, and this is the whole twist to it, I would be in favor of my child attending a public school if public schools were funded properly. But that's the problem. They're not funded properly. So you have substandard schools, and the children are being improperly and poorly educated, if you want to call it education, or any type of inducement taking place. Really, they're being trained more so. And so that's why I personally have an issue with public schools, but it's not really the issue with public schools. It's how the system is allowing public schools to be deteriorated, and just the whole demise of public schools. This is being allowed because we know only a certain population goes to public schools. There's another population or demographics that can attend private schools, or you can try to receive these vouchers for schools. And let me just read just a little bit, because this is something people really need to pay attention to, are for or against this Secretary of State, but just to kind of have a little understanding of what's going on here, and what talking more about this, because we're not going to spend a lot of time on this because we want to talk about alternative medicine. But I do want to mention this because this is what I deal with every day, lobbying for teachers and educators. So Betsy DeVos was confirmed as Secretary of Education, 51-50 vote. And it was already pretty much understood that this would be a close confirmation, and Vice President Mike Pence would have to cast the unprecedented tie-breaking vote. So people, of course, have been calling Senate offices. There were like over 1 million calls a day to senators about this whole confirmation with Betsy DeVos, and people were protesting overnight. Now, people that advocate vouchers, let me just say, ALEC, people are familiar with ALEC, Legislative Exchange Council, which, we read an entire list of legislation written or supported or promoted by ALEC. The Koch brothers are connected to ALEC, so that should tell you a little something. So ALEC is just a group that promotes some really, really unscrupulous and unsavory and unfavorable legislation when it comes to us, the general population. People that stand for rights. Okay, let's just say that. And so Alex says parents should be given the option to enroll their children in or private school education funds. Forcing parents to utilize only their local public school results in many causes in children attending understaffed and under-maintained facilities in which educators are underqualified and student achievement suffers accordingly. And you know what? All of that sounds good, and this concluding part, student achievement suffers accordingly, and under-maintained facilities like what we viewed in Detroit and some areas, and of course other cities as well. It's true. That is true. But again, like I always say, look at the problem as to why like that. Exactly. Like I think it was Dr. King that said that we should not give any accolades to, say, those organizations that want to donate a few $1 million to some poor community or something like that. We should look at why that community is poor. Why is that community suffering? That's fine for you to donate the money, but then let's also examine why. Because once you get through giving that little $3 million, that's nothing if it's not something that's providing training and housing and some type of stability for people. So, I mean, that's nothing. If the people are suffering inside and out, that little $3 million that you donate to a community, that's not going to do too much of anything, because they're so.
What about the community next to that, and the community next to that, and the community next to that? Stop the problem. Stop the issue.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And then, so let me read this part with what American Federation of Teachers, the voucher program. The AFT supports parents' right to send their children to private or religious schools, but opposes the use of public funds to do so. The main reason for this opposition is because public funding of private or religious education transfers precious tax dollars from public schools, which are free and open to all children, accountable to parents and taxpayers alike, and essential to our democracy, to private and religious schools that charge for their services, that charge for their services. Private and religious schools that charge for their services select their students, which they do, on the basis of religious or academic or family or personal characteristics, and are accountable only to their boards and clients. So, like when some of these children or parents want to send their children to these schools, for instance, like on Queen Sugar. Remember when her son was enrolled in this prestigious private school, and then he was expelled. And so when they moved to New Orleans, she was trying to enroll him in another private school, and her aunt, I think it was her aunt, right, it was telling her, Aunt Vi, was telling her, oh, you should just enroll him in the public school up the street and have a good education because they were wealthy. And so she could afford a private school. But they had to go through the whole interview process, remember? And she was afraid because of her husband, who was the high-profile ball player, affect her son's chances of being selected to attend this private, elite, prestigious school. And so, like the statement just from AFT states, your family, your background, your money, basically,
clean.
your wealth.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Right.
Your connection.
How much money do you have? And yes, and what's your background? What is it? What is it I'm trying to say? What is what did I call it? Like your lineage, but that's another word. But this is the whole situation. Well, not the whole situation, but just part of it with this whole the vouchers and the private school. We'd love to hear your thoughts on going with this topic, because this should be a topic of discussion. We should probably try to have some educators on to speak about the whole voucher system in charter schools. Because, see, from my understanding, if a child is enrolled in a charter school, charter schools can expel those children for whatever reason. There's no accountability. And then once that child is expelled from that charter school for whatever reason, versus like maybe a in-school suspension like in public school or something like that. Once that child is expelled, say pictures of somebody else on Instagram, like the children do all the time.
Right.
Posting these nude pictures
Childish
of each other.
thing.
Right. So in this day and age with this social media, we never would have thought of doing anything like that. But anyway, so the child can be expelled from that charter school, and then the child is forced to enroll in the public school, but the public school only has enough funding for the number of children that they allocated that money for, what they counted for, because they do have these school count days, just like in a prison when the guards go around and count, they have count days in school, and so they count how many children are there, and then the schools, in reference to the count days, the schools are given, I think, like say 10 to 20 days after that count day, right? So say for instance, if a parent wants to not have their child come to school on count day, right?
What?
Right, if they decide, and that's a whole nother story. But if the parent decides, I don't want my child to come to school on count day, that school will still receive the money for that pupil, like whether it's $300 per pupil or $500 per pupil, whatever that amount is. That school will still receive that money for that pupil as long as that child returns to school within For some districts, it could be 10 days or 20 days. So you know the child is not going to miss 10 or 20 days. So
Right.
it's just really like a money-making business, public or private, really, if you ask me. That's why I'm more of an advocate for home school. And just go ahead on and teach your child um, at home. Because, oh my God, I just could not imagine. Now, if the public school, yes, of course, rules. And the
You're breaking up,
teachers.
Black Rose.
I'm breaking up. Oh no, I'm
Yeah.
breaking up.
It's about the third time.
I don't like that.
I was hoping it would get better.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like that
It'll
when
do
I'm
it and
breaking
then
up.
it'll stop. Yeah. Yeah. What you say
Okay.
is
All
so
right. Well, thank
important.
you. Oh, I don't like that I'm breaking up, and so I don't know what that is. I don't know. But anyway, I think I've talked long enough. Maybe that's why I'm breaking up. I've talked long enough about divorce. But she's a billionaire from Michigan. And if you know anything about Michigan, pretty much the educational system is duplicating what we see in New Orleans, what happened in New Orleans, Louisiana, after Hurricane Katrina. Um, I think New Orleans is like 90 something percent chartered out at this point. So many people are upset about this. So, yeah, we have a new Secretary of Education. She has not been an administrator nor a teacher. She did not attend public schools. Um, so I do want to look more into this and talk more about your system and the choice, because some parents may see this as beneficial, because like I said, my godson, he went to a private school on a voucher. He was going to a religious school. It was a Catholic school, and this is something else that the Secretary of Education promotes. So I think we need to kind of look more into that. And also Jeff Sessions, which I knew, he was confirmed as Attorney General. And then there was this whole big talk about like Elizabeth Warren wanted to read Coretta Scott King's, the late great Coretta Scott King's letter that she wrote when Jeff Sessions was going through the confirmation for a judgeship, I think that's what you call it, in Alabama. And she wrote this letter, and then apparently Elizabeth Warren wasn't allowed to read it. Mitch McConnell spoke out and said that she would no longer be able to speak during any of the hearings. But then later on today, some other men from the Senate read the letter. So I don't even know what that whole mess is all about. Once again, these people with their politics and all these games and just a bunch of crazy madness. So
That it is.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. So I knew that Jeff Sessions would be confirmed. I knew that much. And I knew that Betsy DeVos would be confirmed also, because apparently I think she paid like $200 million, or donated, like, quote unquote donated like $200 million, I believe, to the Republican Party. And so, like, a lot of these cabinet positions, to me it seems like they are paid positions. Ambassadorships are given. Yeah, I mean, you have to have some money. You have, and not just have some money. You have to be extremely wealthy to hold these positions. You have to have that real wealth. That
Old
just
money.
like that. Yeah, what you would call, some call old money. Some old money, at least a generation or two. And, you know, a lot of these people, they have all the scheming that they are involved in, because DeVos's father is Edgar Prince, and he was a billionaire, Michigan industrialist who founded the Prince Corporation, and that was an auto parts manufacturing company. So, And then Betsy DeVos's husband, he was a self-made multi-billionaire, co-founder of Amway Corporation, and owner of the Orlando Magic. And, excuse me, their family is among the richest, not only in Michigan, but in the world. Can you believe it? Yes.
There you have it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I said bought seats.
Bought seat, baby. Yes, honey. Yes. Pay for your position. Pay for your position. So, hey, it is what it is. But I just want to share that with people. Now, listen. If you have not seen the New Edition movie, oh my God, I'm late watching it because I just purchased that little Fire Stick deal. So I didn't watch it. I don't have cable and all that stuff. I'm not paying for any cable. Oh my God. The New Edition movie is so darn good. I've already watched it once because, it aired, what was it, the 24th, 25th, and 26th, I believe, on BET. And so I watched it binged watched it over the weekend because it's like, it's 3 2-hour episodes. So I binge watched it over the weekend, and I've already started back watching it. I'm on the second part 2 of the New Edition story because, listen, I am 45, going on 46, looking like I'm 26. But I grew up with New Edition. Okay, New Edition came out, I think it was 1978. Okay, group was formed in 1978. They're out of Roxbury neighborhood in Boston, Massachusetts, where you park your car in Boston, in Roxbury. So anyway, Roxbury, I think that's where they forced all black people in Roxbury. I remember there was this really, really infamous case in I believe it was Roxbury neighborhood, where this white man killed his wife, and he tried to say that the black boys in Roxbury killed his wife, and the police, just tore Roxbury inside out trying to find this fictitious killer. And the man had actually killed his wife. I used to watch all of that crime, American Crime on A&E back in the day, and that's when I realized, I was like, wow, all we see on the news is like crackheads or something robbing a liquor store, but these people, straight up wealthy people, are killing their spouses and parents and business partners, millions of dollars or a few $100,000 or whatever, $20,000, $100,000, and but you showing on the news some crackhead coming up out of the store, trying to buy a rock or whatever. But you had these people commit major murders. So, but anyway, so the group reached its height of popularity, New Edition, in the 1980s, and they have been said to have been like of the boy band movement in the 1980s and 90s, and led the way for groups like New Kids on the Block, and then of course Ricky Bell founded Boys to Men. Then we had High Five and Backstreet Boys. I used to love all of them. And that little other group, NSYNC. So, but the group's first bout of fame in 1983, its members were Ricky Bell, Michael Bivins, Bobby Brown, Ronnie DeVoe, and Ralph Tresvant. And their early hits included Candy Girl, Cool It Now, and Mr. Telephone Man. Okay, so I have to say, Candy Girl, you're all my world. Okay, and then Cool it now. You got to slow it down, slow it down. Okay, that was good. And then, of course, Mr. Telephone Man. There's something wrong with my line. Woo, honey, that was the jam. All of those songs, they were
Nice
just the
medley.
jam. Yes, yes. And then, of course, Johnny Gill with his little deep, sexy voice. He joined the
So
group.
smooth.
Oh my God. He was introduced on the 1988 album Heartbreak. Um, so, of course, after Bobby Brown left the group or was voted out and all of that. Um, and then, of course, the group went on a hiatus in 1990. And then Belle Biv DeVoe, that's when they came out with poison, 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 poison. I mean, man, if we knew that, that video was hot. I think that's when like Video Soul was popping, and so you came in after school and like about 3:30, Rap City and Video Soul and all of that stuff came on BET, because at first all we had, of course, was MTV. Then when BET came out and played those videos, by the time we came home, oh man, it was on. Oh my God, it was just a beautiful time. It was a beautiful time. But I always have loved New Edition, and just watching the story. Wait a minute. Oh, let me talk about this cast. Cast. Okay. All right. So you have Bashir Gray as Michael Bivins, played Michael Bivins superbly. Bashir Gray is Hakeem on the show Empire. Okay. And then you have Keith Powers as Ronnie DeVoe. He did a great job too. Cute little boy. All of them cute little guys. Elijah Kelly plays the role of Ricky Bell. Okay. Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. Okay. And then Luke James plays Johnny Gill. And they had this little curl piece on his head, just like Johnny Gill used to wear back in the day. That was so cute. I mean, they really, whoever, and I said that I was going to look this person's name up. I think I did, and I just didn't write it down. The costume designer, oh my God, and the cinematography, and the choreographer. I mean, just the bomb. Gotta give it up for Ace Boogie Wood Harris. He did that. He played the hell. He played the hell out of Brooke Payne. Brooke Payne, who is the #1 choreographer in the world, next to whoever choreographed for Temptations too. But Brooke Payne, he did that. He did that to work with those young boys, because it's difficult working with children. You know that because you've choreographed routines for children. And as a child,
everybody in sync.
Oh my God. And just imagine these little rowdy boys from Roxbury, but they were ambitious little boys too. Even though they said that they only started like New Edition and the dancing and performing in talent shows so that they could meet some girls and have some extra money, maybe buy some clothes and tennis shoes. These young boys grew up into some young men that we grew up with and just grew to love so much. I know we did. But yeah, so Luke James played Johnny Gill, and then little Algie Smith played Ralph Tresvant. I thought he did a really good job with that. And then Woody McClain played Bobby Brown. And of course, like I said, Ace Boogie, also known as, look, I'm saying also known as his real name, Wood Harris. He'll be Ace Boogie for all of us that watch Paid in Full. Ace Boogie, he played Brooke Payne, the choreographer for New Edition. And I love the scene when the little boys come in and ask him could he manage them. And they get in front of Brooke Payne's car and dance for him, and they sing the little Michael Jackson song. And he just kind of looks at them like, yeah, I can work with y'all. I can work with y'all. Yeah, y'all meet me tomorrow.
Yeah.
And let me see now the little boys. Okay, so those were the names of the cast members for like the older New Edition, but then younger New Edition, Dante Hoagland, he was the young Mike Bivens, and then Khalid McLaughlin as young Ricky Bell. This little boy right here, he did the damn thing, singing that "Holding On." Oh my
Oh
God,
yeah.
holding on. It's very hot to do and let's go. Hey. And then when he said, hey, hey, hey.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Ooh, ooh. I bet you lie awake nights. Baby, he did that. Oh my God. I just love
They
these
had
little
so much
boys.
style.
Didn't
Oh,
they
and
have style?
charisma.
They did. They did. And that's exactly how New Edition, when they were little boys and as they grew up to be adult performers, they had all that style and charisma, and that was what was so captivating and attractive about their whole performance. They were just like that. I mean, just snapping their fingers and that fancy, complex footwork. Oh my God. Used to love them. And then there's Miles Truitt. He plays the young Ronnie DeVoe. And then the little cute boy, little Jahai Winston, he plays Ralph Tresvant. He was a little cutie pie too. And then, well, all of them were. And then Tyler Williams plays the young Bobby Brown. And he was so cute. So, I mean, I just love them. And then Tank, which I love Tank's music. Tank plays Jerry Busby. Okay. So he was like the head of MCA. And then, of course, Big Worm, Faison Love, he portrayed Maurice Starr. Maurice Starr, actually, I liked his role in the New Edition movie because he used to promote these talent shows. And people know about his talent shows. I've seen the New Edition, what is it, like BET special, and some of the people from that Roxbury neighborhood, they talk about, Maurice Starr, he used to produce these talent shows for the young children, and we used to go, and we remember seeing New Edition. So Maurice was not recorded for New Edition when they won the contest, the talent show, and he also was a co-writer for Candy Girl.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
That she was a big hit.
And that was a big hit. Sandy McCree plays Carol Brown, Bobby Brown's mother. The mother's part, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Have to give it up. Yvette Nicole Brown is Shirley Bivens, Michael Bivens' mother. And then Lala Anthony as Flo DeVoe. And then Lisa Nicole Carson, haven't seen her in a while. She plays Dorothy Bell, Ricky Bell's mother. And then Monica Calhoun plays Patricia Tresvant, Ralph Tresvant's mother. And I love the way when she said, Ralph's been working really hard.
Really hard.
Ralph's been working really hard. Like, y'all boys have not been working as hard as my baby has.
My boy.
My baby singer, and my baby's been working really hard. But that was, I mean, oh my God, if you have not seen it, please check out the New Edition movie. Mm-hmm. It is so good. I mean, and I love like the transition scene at the end of part one when the children they're singing "Is This the End?" I'm not even going to try to sing that, mess up anybody's ears. But the children are singing, the little boys are singing New Edition, and then each character we see them transform into like the teenager. So we see them go from the children or the adolescents to the teenage New Edition group. Beautiful, beautiful.
It's beautiful.
The cinematography.
So well.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. I wouldn't care what kind of awards anybody gave them. Baby, we give them the street hood, the mind, body, and spirit, the black folks award for that because, hey, they did that.
They did that.
You need to see. You need to see it. You need to see that if you have not seen it. New Edition. And I would say, like, those of us that are New Edition friends, watch it with your children and explain to them and have them listen to some of those lyrics, how back in the day when those when men really used to sing to women and talk about how I like you and I want to hold your hand and I want to be in a relationship
I think about
with
you all day.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love it. Crooning to an end. Yes, indeed.
And then there were bits of gems of knowledge dropped about the music business itself in the movie.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Like read your contract.
Read your contract.
Yeah.
And that's something that Tank's character stated to them. I think he was speaking to Ricky. Not Ricky.
Michael.
Who was it? Michael. He was speaking to Michael, He said to him, "Did you reach your contract?" Exactly. Did you reach your contract? And that's something. It's just amazing how New Edition had a #1 song, and then they were still coming back home to the projects. And see, that's why I love Prince so much, because Prince tried to hip people to this business about how you need to own yourself and not let anybody else own your name. Like Ray Charles trying to own his masters. Sam Cooke. Come on, what's this? James Brown. Sam, I think it was James Brown and Sam Cooke, I think. They were trying to come together to have a record company. Even some younger brothers here, the one Prince, what do they call him? Prince somebody, Prince something here in Houston. And let me see, it was him. It was one of the guys from that group in New York. And one other person. They were trying to come together to start a label. And next thing you know, feds came down and had charges on all of them. So anytime when there's some kind of way that these musicians can have some real ownership of their craft, of their art, there's always something there. Well, not always, but sometimes you will see some of these evil entities arise and try to stop that and impede upon our progress. So I would say to people interested in the music business, study Prince, watch that New Edition movie, and just learn to read your contract. Don't be so happy to sign just because somebody's ready to sign you.
And know your worth.
Know your worth. Know your worth. That's important. Know your worth. Speaking of knowing your worth, we need to get into our topic. Any more thoughts you want to share on New Edition? Because I know you watched it. What did you like about New Edition?
Actually, since I was already, pretty grown when they came through. I was not aware of how talented they were. I was not aware of the camaraderie that they had on stage. I mean, like anybody else, any other young group, you're going to have your disagreements privately, but you can never tell that on stage. They had such a stellar performance. They were so in sync with one another and so talented. The exactness. And then they had so much passion and dedication for their craft. Even though they weren't just rolling in dough, they were still performing, giving their best to the audience. The audience had no idea they were not getting paid from the performance that they gave, and I have to tip my hat to them for that. That was a lot to do. That was a lot to
Absolutely.
do. And I tip my hat also to not only the actors who portrayed the real New Edition, but the fact that it seemed like they all became uh, brothers, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
all became good friends during this whole process. And this was like what 10 years in the making. Uh, uh, they've been working on this for a long time, and also I want to let the people know that unlike a lot of movies that are made from real characters, the people who wrote this movie, wrote the story, talked with each individual member, talked with anybody who had any kind of influence or major contact with them, and got the real story. They interviewed the real mothers, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody signed off on it, including Bobby Brown, and he was the last one to hold out. And they had approached this group about 10 years ago, 6 to 10 years ago, to do this movie, and Bobby Brown didn't want to. And they said in the end, they were glad that he held out because they were going to make it just a movie in the theater, like 2 hours. But they said that they couldn't tell their story in 2 hours. They really wanted 5 nights, and they got it down to three because they had so much to tell because they started when they were such youngsters, like
Mm-hmm.
9, 10, and then they told their whole story growing up, and I'm glad that they got those 3 nights instead of just sticking it in a theater, uh, the way they were trying to do 6 to 10 years ago. So, and
I
they also
am
talked with the
also.
star, I mean the choreographer Brooks. They talked with everybody and got everybody's side of it, and they said the members, New Edition members, said that they didn't really know that the others were feeling the way they were feeling until they read the script. So a lot of things
Right,
were
because they
revealed
all said
in the script.
individually.
Right.
Yeah, they said individually with like the interviewer.
Mhm.
And yeah, so just hearing the story person, I just wonder
Mhm.
what was that like sitting there reading the script like, wow, you were feeling that
Mhm.
because Maurice Starr had actually approached Ralph Tresvant and wanted to make Ralph Tresvant a solo artist.
Right.
He didn't want the New Edition group, and Ralph
Right.
Tresvant was consistent and devoted to
Mhm.
New Edition because he told Maurice right then and there. Well, he didn't tell him right then and there, but he did come back and let him know, hey, we're a group.
Right.
We can make this deal, we can cut this record, but we are a group. And
Right.
then later, when Ralph was always singing lead, because we almost began to think, yeah, Ralph is the lead, but we knew. But I mean, being children, I couldn't put all of that together. I was a child. I was 11 and 12 years old dancing off of New Edition. But we knew that they kind of started out as a group, but then Ralph seemed to step out as the lead of New Edition because he was always singing, had the lead. Um, what is it? He was singing the lead vocals. So
Mhm.
Ralph, there's a scene in New Edition whereas Ralph says, what about the other guys? We're a group. Why am I always singing lead? Because he was noticing the salty attitude coming from the other guys in the group because Ralph was always singing, but all of them were
All of
stars
them
in
could
their own
sing.
right.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's what I want to say about New Edition. They were all stars. They were all charismatic. They were all shining stars in their own right. And I just love each and every one of them. Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, Mike, Ralph Tresvant, when Johnny Gill joined. I mean, just absolutely amazing. Just an amazing cast of talent. And then Brooke Payne, choreographer of the Lifetime. He needs to win the Lifetime choreographer award because he did that. He
Yes, you
managed
did.
those boys. He needs his back pay. He needs his back pay.
He sure does.
Nutrition definitely needs
He
their
pays
back
for their
pay.
uniforms out of his pocket to start with.
Driving them around and all of that, and keeping them out of trouble, keeping them in practice, keeping them professional. He needs his
Right.
back pay.
Yes,
He
he do.
needs his darn back pay.
Yes,
Somebody
he
pay
do.
him.
Hmm.
Shoot. We need to have some kind of, I don't know, something. He needs some type of acknowledgement. He needs acknowledgement. Hey, you have a spoken word for us?
Yes,
And then
I
we'll
do.
get
I'm a
into
little
our topic.
concerned about this breakup that we're experiencing. Um,
Oh,
am I breaking? Well, I just
no, you're not breaking.
okay. Okay. Well, I do have a spoken word, which it is
Oh,
new,
wonderful.
like new. I just wrote it yesterday, and I also said last week that I was going to try some music, background music, with my next spoken word. So this is
Mm.
going to be new too. So let's see. Make sure it's not too loud. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So this is called.
Let me snap my fingers.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So this is called. Why do you call my name?
Why you call my name?
Why you call my name?
Why you call my name?
You got to say it
Mm.
like that. Why you call my name?
Why you call my Why you call my name?
Why you call my
Why you
name?
call my name?
All right.
Why you call my name? Is it why you call my is it why you call my name or why you call my name?
No,
Which
no,
one?
no. Why you call my name?
Why you call my name?
Why
Okay.
you call my
I
name?
like that. Why you
Okay.
call my name?
Okay. So you're gonna get the feel of it as I move on. You're gonna relate. You're gonna relate. Let me get my
Cool.
music right. Make sure it's not too loud.
Why you call my name? By Feather Lights.
Hold on a second. Can you hear the music?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you call my name when I'm walking out the door? Why do you hide my coat when I'm ready to leave? Why do you sabotage my car once I find my hidden keys? Why do you shoot me in the back when I'm running away from you? What is this strange fascination you have with me? This hate, love, push, pull, envy, despise, attraction you carry with you like a soiled blanket. You mock what you so emulate. You denounce what you impersonate. My name is on your lips every day, fabricating statistics from the air, spreading false propaganda like butter on toast. What is it about me? Why can't you keep your hands off me?
Oh.
Damn it.
Mm.
You opened the window and installed a 3-inch aluminum screen. You open the door and plant a bomb just over the threshold. And you say, leave. You live your life vicariously through me. So what would you be without me? What is this hold I have over you? This power that is perceived as a weakness. You tremble at the thought of my awakening, my knowing, my oncoming awareness. I see you. I see you. The hologram has a glitch. The cat walked past me 2 times, back to back. And now you scramble quickly on your mission. The glitch is widening and more are peering through. What will you do when I make the connection and realize my power over you? When I remember who I am, and that it was you who needed me, not me who needed you. What will you do when it is revealed the emperor has no clothes? The emperor is not an emperor. It's just a little man behind a big glittered curtain, pushing buttons and turning knobs. Pushing buttons and turning knobs. Busted. Namaste.
Namaste. Quite revealing. When the emperor has no clothes, all that big, how we used to say, all that big bad talk, all that being, what is it, all of your pompous talk, your braggadocio, being braggadocious.
Right. So, to me, there are groups of people whose lives depend on the people that they control. And if they did not tell anybody to control, they would be like a minute. They would be like nothing. They would be non-existent. They couldn't live. They couldn't survive. They live their lives off the people they control. They're like parasites. And the people that are being controlled, they don't realize how much power they actually have.
Yeah, that's true. Because I am a firm believer in people will treat you only however you allow them to.
Yeah.
So it's what you allow, what you will accept. And that goes back to when we were talking about friendship abuse, setting boundaries, having certain boundaries. No, you will not cross this boundary. No, I'm not going to let you treat me like that. So, I love it. I love that. The title again, Call My Name.
Why you call my name?
Why you call my name?
Why you call my name?
Why you call? Why you call? I call your name, girl. That was a good one. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Feather Lights. We sure appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know if we're gonna, if that's one. I think we'll have to have you come back and read that again on another show, because I like that. I like it. I could feel that one. We'll give you another snap, and then we'll take a break. And we will be right back. You are tuned in to the Mind, Body, and Spirit radio show. And you stay tuned, and you can call in and join in the conversation with us after this break. Namaste.
Network.
Hey, and you are tuned in to the Black Talk Radio Network, and this is the Mind, Body, and Spirit Radio Show, and I am Black Rose, and
I am.
And that's you. Feather Light. And we also have you out there listening to us. We want you to also go onto the Black Talk Radio Network webpage and donate so that we can keep these shows coming to you. And donate to the Black Talk Media Project. And you can also join the BTR page, the social media platform, for meeting those people with a similar interest. So we look forward to seeing you there. And now, since we had I'm calling the new edition our Black History, quote unquote, Black History or African History piece. I think I heard that there's a debate to change the name from Black History to African American History. Do whatever you want to do. Just, keep it going every day. I would say that. And if you want to say African American history, say African American history. If you want to say African, Nubian, Kemetic, whatever you want to say, Black history, whatever, because we can call it so much. We can call it charcoal, melanin history. We can call it so many different names. Just practice it every single day, and you should learn about it, not just Black history, but learn about cultures, learn about different events. But me being an anthropologist, I love cultures, so learn about different cultures, and in particular you should know about cultures that come from the homeland, from the continent, since that's where civilization originated. So that should be something you should study every single day, or celebrate every single day. So have some acknowledgement.
You don't have to just regulate it to just 28 days of the year.
Yeah, God. Oh, goodness. Absolutely. So we shared our Black History piece, which was New Edition, the talk on New Edition, because I do consider New Edition Black History, definitely. And I sure hope that they can get that back pay that they deserve, including Brooke Payne, and let those mothers receive a nice bonus and all of that. So go ahead, New Edition. And also, New Edition needs to put out some New Edition gear, because I would love to rock like a New Edition t-shirt and hat, something like that. So that'd be really cool. And so they do need that merchandise out so that the fans can purchase it. So anyway, now for our African Spirit segment, we'll have that later on, right before you give us your Love the Body and Breathing. But right now, also, we want to have, as part of our Black History segment, this clip, speaking on Ida B. Wells, one of my absolute favorites. Ida B. Wells was a crusader for justice. And I would love, like Dr. King said, when he's dead and gone, he wanted people to be able to say that he was a crusader for justice. And we definitely can say a drum major for justice. That's what he said, a drum major for justice. And we certainly can say that. Now, Ida B. Wells, Crusader for Justice. We certainly can say that because Ida B. Wells, who again is one of my favorites, she actually started the anti-lynching campaign and conducted like a sociological experiment proving that lynchings were not only taking place in the South, but all around the country. And she took this whole lynching campaign over to the UK. She had many people in the UK involved and exposed lynching in America. And that's what led to the anti-lynching laws, along with some Italians and some white people being killed. I think there was an Italian named Leo that was killed, and once he was killed, Italy was like, "Whoa, wait a minute now! You can't be over here. Hold up now! You've been killing them niggas for, excuse me, I don't mean to say niggas. You've been killing those black folks. We know forever, but now you kill one of our people for what? You're going too far." So anyway, so that in conjunction with that, that led to the supposedly anti-lynching laws, but there are people that are still being lynched in many different ways, not just with the rope, but that's happening also. In fact, let me tell you this, and then let's play this clip. Scott, if we could cue that clip, thank you. I was speaking with a lady today that told me that her and her family had to escape from Jasper, Texas. And if people remember Jasper, Texas, where James Byrd was killed, lynched in Jasper, Texas, right up the road here from Houston. Remember they drug him from the back of a truck and decapitated James Byrd. But anyway, but God rest his soul. But the lady told me today that just last year, this happened just not 20 years ago, not 40 years ago, 2016, her and her family had to escape Jasper because they were burning crosses in her yard. Ooh. Yes. Burning crosses in her yard and still saying the N-word and gal. In Jasper, Texas. So anyway, let's hear this clip on Ida B. Wells, and I promise you guys we will get right into our topic on alternative healing and spirit talk. All right, so this is a clip on Ida B. Wells.
In the late 1800s and early 1900s, lynching and other hate crimes were feared by most African Americans. However, Ida B. Wells Barnett was not most African Americans. With her unique voice, Ida spoke out with bravery for the rights of her people when all odds were stacked against her, and she became one of the most influential people in African American history by documenting the raw truth of what was happening at the time and by inspiring others to join the fight against it. Although African Americans were freed almost 6 months after Ida's birth on July 16, 1862, in Holly Springs, Mississippi, she still faced vicious prejudice. However, two things the Wells family taught their oldest daughter were to be kind and to value education. Ida grew up in a very religious family that valued the word of the Lord and to do good things. The Wells family also strongly encouraged Ida's education and schooling. However, when tragedy struck and the yellow fever epidemic swept throughout the South, taking both the lives of her parents and youngest brother, Ida had to put those teachings to work. At the age of 16, Ida dropped her education and lied about her age to become a school teacher in rural areas to provide for her family of her and her 7 younger siblings. However, a time came when Ida needed to look towards her own future, and she moved to Memphis in 1882. While in Memphis, Ida still taught in more rural areas, causing her to travel by train to get to work and back to home. One afternoon in May of 1884, Ida was taking a train from Memphis to Nashville and had purchased a ticket for the ladies' carriage of the train. Being that it was a fancier, more expensive carriage to ride in, Ida was outraged when asked to move from it. After refusing to move from her cart, she was forcefully taken from her place by several crewmen, after biting the hand of the man who first tried to move her. Having been moved because of the color of her skin angered Ida and pushed her into writing about it. Ida B. Wells had been writing in multiple newspapers by this time, but now her words held much more power, enrage, and the will for change, saying, "The people must know before they can act, and there is no educator that can compare with the press." Now Ida used her words to teach people about the inequality African Americans like herself faced and persuade them to fight against it. Most of her earlier articles were published under the moniker Iola, until Ida was brave enough to take credit for her own words. The newspapers and periodicals she published in loved her journalism and convinced Ida to become co-owner or even owner of some of them, such as Memphis Free Speech and Highlight, which was later renamed Free Speech. Her words built in confidence and power, which, while inspiring, caused many enemies and even caused Miss Wells to be fired from her job as a school teacher. However, that didn't discourage her, but only made her push harder. During this time period, Ida also began to attend meetings of local civil rights groups that spoke out against the social, political, and economical difficulties she and other African Americans faced. In 1892, 3 African American men, one of which being Ida B. Wells' good friend Thomas Moss, set up a grocery store in town called the People's Grocery. Ida was extremely proud of her friend's work, but the owners of a white grocery store, whose attention was being pulled away by the new store, were not. They vandalized Tom Moss's store constantly. While defending their store, one of Tom Moss's partners shot one of the vandals, sending Moss and his partners to jail. There they were taken from their cells and lynched by the vandals and their supporters. When Ida had caught word of what had happened, she was furious. She used her position of part-time owner and editor of Free Speech to publish an article about the lynching and demanding for justice. She wrote, "I expected some cowardly retaliations from the lynchers. I felt that one had better fight against the injustice than to die like a dog or a rat in a trap." Her fiery words launched the first anti-lynching campaign in the United States and completely set the course of action for the rest of Ida B. Wells' life: to end lynching. Putting her life in danger, Ida B. Wells began to travel to the South to gain more information on other lynching cases and publishing more injustices. She encouraged people to leave the state that would not protect them, and within months, several thousand African Americans left their communities and moved elsewhere in the country. She questioned the excuses white men used to justify their lynching of blacks, proving them wrong time after time. Those who opposed Ida's writings did not take kindly to this. On May 27, 1892, a committee of white men banded together to demolish the presses and furnishing of free speech. Ida had not been there at the time, but the message that she would be murdered if she returned remained. Memphis was no longer safe for Ida, and she made the move to New York. Not out of fear, though, but out of the thought that she believed she could be more effective in her new location. And on October 5, 1892, Ida gave the first major speech of her career, one that shined light on the seriousness of lynching. She told the story of Thomas Moss. Wells finished the speech with tears streaming down her face, and although she was upset with herself for crying, all were moved by her powerful words. Invitations poured in from multiple states for Wells to inform America about lynching, and Ida B. Wells' anti-lynching campaign flew into full force. Ida was still continuously publishing articles, but now she was speaking in front of larger and more receptive groups of people, sometimes even out of the country. The crowds grew to over 1,000, and the applause was thunderous. She was even able to begin a more personal side to her life. On June 27, 1892, Ida B. Wells became Ida B. Wells Barnett, as she became married to activist and newspaperman Ferdinand Barnett. She also had 4 children with him, but never strayed from her career in political activism. Ida also began to arrange multiple organizations to fight the injustices. In 1896, she formed the National Association of Colored Women. She also organized the Alpha Suffrage Club for African American women, leading the parade for the cause down Michigan Avenue. Ida B. Wells Barnett also marched in the famous suffrage parade in Washington, D.C. in March of 1913. However, some white women threatened that they would not march if they had to march beside a black woman, but Ida held her ground, marching proudly among the others to stand up for women's rights. As the Great Depression was arising, many whites feared that black people would steal the few jobs that were left in the U.S., causing an increase in hate crimes, including lynching. And Ida B. Wells Barnett was not about to let that happen. Ida traveled all over the country interviewing survivors of hate crimes and protesting tragic and unfair cases that never got resolved. She wrote vigorously, pleading the state to do something about the crimes. Although little action was taken, Ida still fought full-heartedly. Even when her days were coming to an end, Ida B. Wells Barnett never stopped fighting. She continued to lecture and be involved in her community, still writing her powerful articles about the drastic effects of lynching. She even made an unsuccessful bid for Illinois State Senator at age 67. Several years later, a few months before her 69th birthday, Wells felt dizzy and nauseated. After slipping into a coma, she was rushed to Chicago Daily Hospital, but doctors were unable to repair the damage done by uremic poisoning. On March 25, 1931, with much of her family by her side, Ida B. Wells Barnett passed away at the age of 69. Ida B. Wells Barnett once said, "Somebody must show that the Afro-American race is more sinned upon than sinning, and it seems to have fallen upon me to do so." However, saying that is easier said than done. Ida's fight was mostly one she fought by herself, but that never deterred her in the slightest. In her lifetime, Ida created the first African-American kindergarten in her community and became owner of several newspaper companies due to her powerful articles. In her career in political activism, Wells Barnett formed the Alpha Suffrage Club, the National Association of Colored Women, and the National Association of the Advancement of Colored People, although she later cut ties with the group. Ida led these groups to fight against racism and sexism around the world, ensuring women would be treated fairly and lynching would no longer be a common practice. Some historians have even said that her involvement in history was the beginning of a modern civil rights movement. Her powerful words encouraged many who had no courage to join the fight for equal rights. Although Ida B. Wells Barnett never did live to see the day when African Americans could walk free without fear, she made sure that that day would one day be possible.
Yes, 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 yes.
A true fighter, true soldier.
Honorable Ida B. Wells. We need to, like we say, the Honorable Marcus Garvey. We should say the Honorable Ida B. Wells.
Yes.
I had an opportunity to meet her grandson and I think it was her two living granddaughters at the Ida B. Wells Museum. There's a birthday celebration that takes place for her in July 13th, in Holly Springs, Mississippi, right outside of Memphis. Every year, lovely, lovely little museum, cute little house. So thank you, the Honorable Ida B. Wells, for your commitment and service. Oh yes. And with our African Spirit segment, that's what we are committed to doing, highlighting some of our warriors, our great thinkers, our scholars, our fighters. So we just want to acknowledge them. People who contributed to our growth and liberation. Those that have transitioned and those that are still here with us. And a lot of those hidden figures too, like the movie Hidden Figure, which I love so much. We'll have to come back and talk about that because I know people are really ready to hear us talk about alternative medicine. But I tell you, the Hidden Figures movie, that was so good. That was a great historical piece. Yes, of some hidden figures. So thank you so much for that one as well. Remember we had that show on the Black Renaissance? All these films that's coming out. I'm just loving it. And different shows with our Black artists and That's big. I'm loving this. I'm loving this. So tonight we want to talk about alternative healing. And you know what, Featherlight, I think it's appropriate for me to just maybe start out with just saying like a little difference between, talking about a little difference between holistic health and alternative healing and complementary medicine. And I tell you, I wish I still had that book from my alternative healing modalities class, alternative medicine. I think that was the name of it. It was an alternative medicine anthropology class, and so we learned about like different traditional healings and complementary medicine and holistic alternative therapies or healing modalities. And it was just so interesting because I tell you, a lot of these pharmaceuticals, they're synthetic and they're killing people, but they used to be derived from like the actual herb, but then also, of course, mixed with some, like an amalgamation of the herbs and synthetic particles as well, which kills people. But like natural herbs and vitamins that we take, those are closer to like the natural herbs, like the plant, the herb, the actual herb itself. So, and of course, what's happening with the holistic practitioners, they're being found dead or killed. We recently lost Dr. Sabi, and before Dr. Sabi, there were a number of holistic practitioners that were found mysteriously dead in their homes or somewhere, some type of accident. So I've always had an interest in like alternative medicine, alternative healing. So the difference between holistic health, alternative healing, and complementary medicine. Let's talk about that a little bit. Okay, holistic health is actually an approach to life rather than focusing on like an illness or specific parts of the body. Holistic health, which is an ancient approach, considers the whole person and how he or she interacts with his or her environment. So it really, holistic health emphasizes the complete connection of the mind, the body, and the spirit. And remember, that's our mission here, is to heal ourselves holistically, through a holistic approach. Heal it all. You can have this healthy body, low fat count, six pack, biceps, triceps, tight thighs and gluteus maximus sitting all up and all of that, and just is broken down inside, that is, your spirit just is broken down and sad and unhappy or angry. So holistic health focuses on all the entire body, all of you, your mind, your body, and your spirit. And then we have, yes, your spirit. We have alternative therapy, which refers to any health treatment not standard in Western medical practice. Okay, so that's like alternative healing, alternative therapy. And then we have the field of complementary and alternative therapies. And this is very, very diverse, and it encompasses like your diet, exercise changes, hypnosis, chiropractic adjustment, and alternative treatments are used in place of conventional medicine. But when you use standard medical practices along with alternative approaches, then we have what is called complementary medicine. So it's the combination. Yeah, that's the combination. So 38%, let me read this, 38% of Americans, of adults, use CAM, complementary alternative medicine. 38%. This is according to a 2007 National Health Interview Survey. But the term alternative medicine means any form of medicine that is outside the mainstream of Western medicine or conventional medicine as practiced by a majority of doctors today. And there are more than 100 systems of alternative medicine. And we'll just talk about a few tonight. And we definitely will have to have a part 2 on this show because there's just so much we can go into with alternative healing. But there are more than 100 systems of alternative medicines that are actually still in practice all over the world today. And every country or region or area that has its own traditional system of health and medical care, such as for the Chinese, you have acupuncture. For the French, you have, for the French, you have magnetic healing. And for the Germans, you have heal praxis. And for the English, herbalism. For India, you have Ayurveda. I love Ayurvedic herbs because I take Bacopa. That really helps with my focus. Let's see, Ayurveda with Siddha. Siddha. Am I pronouncing that properly? Feather. Siddha being practiced widely in the southern part of the country. For Japan, you have shiatsu, like shiatsu massages. Then you have Africans. In different African cultures, they have the herbs, tobacco, the medicine person. Tobacco is used on a bee sting. You can use clove on a toothache, olive oil for an earache, potato over a black eye. And, there's an old wives' tale, like put the potato in your sock, one of your socks, when you go to bed at night. And that will drain like any toxins or flu. Like if you feel a fever coming down. I forgot to go to the store and get a potato when I was sick with that little stuff. But they say you slice the potato and you put it in your sock, in your white sock. And you wake up in the morning feeling 100% better.
Oh,
and so you can use turpentine. I know, right? You can use turpentine and sugar to rid yourself of parasites. I need to get some turpentine because remember we used to take turpentine or like castor oil at the change of the season, like the solstice. We didn't call it solstice, like grandmother didn't call it solstice, but she knew when the seasons were changing. You take some turpentine or some castor oil. Right. And see, that goes back to our ancient teachings. And if I could just say this quickly. We didn't have
any intestinal problems like we do now.
That's right. That's right. That's how the black population was able to, speaking of Ida B. Wells, that's how the black population was able to survive the yellow fever epidemic. Yes. Like Ida B. Wells lost some of her family. But if you look at like Ida B. Wells, you can tell she had some white in her that wasn't too far down the line. But a lot of those, that black population that hadn't been, diluted through miscegenation, and miscegenation is that's the mixture of sex between black and white during that time, and that's just what it is, and that's what happened. We know that, and not all of it was forced, though. We can't say that. We have to be accurate. It wasn't all forced. But I for a lot of those Africans still had the African ways and the African healings and basically, I mean, just to be honest, their blood had not been diluted by the mixture of white blood. They still had a stronger blood, and so they were able to fight off the yellow fever. That's a fact. Not saying anything against anyone. That's just a fact, because people wondered how was the black population able to survive the yellow fever. So
They have
anyway,
to actually hire some black people to be firemen and policemen,
yeah,
which
because
they had
everybody
never done
died.
before. Right.
Right. So
Right.
many people had died. So anyway, just the traditional teachings and traditional practices, especially with all of this healthcare controversy. My goodness, you better start learning and going back to some basics and some ancient teachings and healing yourself, because no sense in begging these people for health care. They're not healing anybody in these hospitals anyway. And we're going to
No.
have this young guy, brother, come on, and he's going to talk about how unsanitary some of the water is in some of these hospitals. And it's ridiculous. And that's one reason why I just did not want to stay in the medical field. I said, no, I can't do this. So let me just start off, Feather Light, with one alternative healing, acupuncture. Okay. Did you have anything to say about CAM, the complementary
No. No. No.
alternative
That's
medicine? Okay.
pretty
Okay.
conclusive.
All right. So acupuncture is one. I have not had acupuncture. I did go with a friend who had some acupuncture performed on her knee, and she said it helped. Um, I really should go for my fatigue. I have chronic fatigue condition, and I really should go. And here in Houston, we have acupuncture facilities like everywhere. I mean, Houston is big on acupuncture. They're like across the street from each other. We have acupuncture facilities and places here like Walgreens on every corner. Seriously.
Right. Right. We
Yeah.
do. Because of the population,
So,
the Asian population here.
yeah, right. We have a large Asian population here in Houston, especially on this side of town, southwest Houston. So Chinese traditional medicine, fine needles are inserted at specific points to stimulate, disperse, and regulate the flow of vital energy and restore a healthy energy balance. In addition to pain relief, acupuncture is also used to improve well-being and treat acute, chronic, and degenerative conditions in children and adults, and it's also used for addictions. And also, Feather, acupuncture has been a part of Chinese medicine for over 2,500 years. But it's
Long
only
time.
recently, yeah, it's only recently increasing its popularity. And Houston, even though Houston is home to the largest medical center in the world, many Houstonians are choosing the alternative healing benefits of acupuncture as a treatment for a wide range of health issues over traditional medicine. So even if you have like chronic pain, infertility, sinus issues, if you want to stop smoking, if you have constant migraines, disease or digestive problems, going under the needle just may help you. So you might want to look into some acupuncture. Have you ever had acupuncture?
I had it one time. I did because of the my shoulder issues,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of those things that you have to, like chiropractic. You can't just go one time. You have to go repeatedly. I just didn't go back because of the distance, and it was a coupon that I was trying.
Okay. All right. Cool. I need to try it, and I will. There's like a place like I think less than a mile from here I could go to, so I'll
I had
try
to put
that.
myself on mute.
All right.
Excuse me.
Oh, okay. All right. So what's our next one we have? What is it?
Acupressure.
Acupressure. Okay.
Acupressure. So what's the difference between acupuncture and acupressure?
Okay. All right. You gonna tell us?
Okay, so the difference is that with acupressure, you use instead of needles, you use your hands at certain pressure points. Instead of needles, you just use your finger. Your finger. You have to know, just like you do with the needle, where the pressure points are. And now I had that. I had the acupressure, Andrew. It was fabulous. Oh my goodness! And it was a Chinese doctor, and she's one thing about Houston. We have a lot of international professionals who come here, but they have difficulty getting a license because of citizenship or what have you. So this is a doctor, a Chinese doctor, but she didn't have her license. So a friend of mine took me to her home, and she at this table, and she just told about the problems I was having in my shoulder that caused a headache, not shoulder where it was. And I've had several massages, but I could tell the difference in a massage and acupressure with her because she hit, just certain pressures, certain points, and not too hard. With me, I'm so sensitive, not just emotionally but physically. And sometimes I go to a masseuse, and if I don't school them, just to school them, and say, don't press too hard, please, I will end up feeling much worse 3 days later. But with her,
goodness, that's not good.
Yeah, with her, she knew exactly how much pressure to put at each point. And when I got up off that table, it was like, wow, this is, woo! I felt it. You are who you say you are, kind of thing. So it was wonderful. It's just that she doesn't have an office or anything. She didn't even charge me because I was willing to pay her. But she says, no, I just, just did it. So, yes, I have experienced that. I enjoyed that. That was great. Hello?
Aja, she dropped off the board. Oh, we have.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
Featherlight.
All right, so let's move along to another form of alternative healing. Let's talk about Tai Chi and Qigong. So both
I
of
think
these.
my mic kind of dropped out on you, sir, but I'm here.
Okay, cool.
So Tai Chi and Qigong, I love Tai Chi and Qigong.
Yes. So both of these are Chinese methods of movement that cultivate the chi or the energy in the body. So the life energy system through the body's pathways or meridians, or the meridians is, the energy pathways that go through the body, and at certain points of the body, the meridians cluster. They form little clusters, and these clusters we refer to as chakras. So it has to do with our energy. As I always say, it's all about energy, frequency, and vibration. So both Tai Chi and Qigong have to do with combining movement and breathing and meditation. So according to traditional Chinese medicine, disease is the result of blocked or stagnant energy, which is what we always say when we were working with the chakras. So we've discussed how blocked or stagnated energy affects our emotions, which control our actions. Our emotions or feelings are also tied into our thoughts. And so free-flowing and balanced chi energizes the organs, systems, and the cells, and they improve our total well-being. So the
Yes.
result is you have improved fitness, you have longevity, well-being. We all are familiar with the Chinese culture, their history of vitality in older age.
Mm-hmm.
They don't suffer from as many diseases as Westerners do. Um, they, the Chinese, in traditional Chinese medicine, they try to stay away from drugs and work with the energy system in the body. Now, many people, many Westerners, uh, they make complain about how the Chinese culture will eat this or they will eat that, and they will say some Westerns will make comments that the Chinese culture will eat things that they wouldn't think of eating. But when you think about culture, all cultures consume certain foods that another culture would not think of eating. Uh,
Mm.
the Westerners eat beef or the cow. The Africans honor the cow, and they would not think of eating. Some African cultures would not think of eating the cow. Um, when you think about the types of food that Westerners do allow in stores, according to an article in The Nation uh, back in October 13, it states, a few years ago, there were 16 countries that had total or partial ban on GMOs. Now there are at least 26. Part of these they include Switzerland. These are countries that ban GMOs. Switzerland, Australia, Austria, China, France, Germany, Hungary, Luxembourg, Greece, Bulgaria, Poland, Italy, Mexico, and Russia. These countries do not want GMOs fed to their citizens. As we all know, Americans have no problems with having GMOs in their grocery stores. Now, out of Tai Chi and Qigong, Tai Chi is the most popular. It was started by a Chinese family named Yang back in the 1700s, so it's very old. It was started as a martial arts form and for improvement of your internal organs. Tai Chi consists of a series of continuous circular, slow, and relaxed, smooth, flowing movements. And it boasts to give you numerous health benefits. It's for all ages. And to learn the technique takes a lot of practice. It takes longer to learn more complex forms. More principles are involved with Tai Chi. One form is followed by another form, and then another and another. Whereas Qigong, the forms are repeated. For me, personally, Qigong is easier. Although you see more seniors like myself doing Tai Chi in a class setting because of the fluidity of the movements. It's so smooth. It's very it's elegant, really. But to me, I prefer Qigong because I don't have to learn so much. You do one movement over and over and over.
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
Whereas Tai Chi, you're in a certain sequence with the group and there's certain movements.
Right.
There's a certain flow, a routine
yes, it's
flow.
a certain flow. It's a certain flow. Qigong originates from China also, and it's centuries old, and it means energy, life, work. And I saw a quote that says, if you want to live to be 100 years old, practice Qigong.
Well, you know what?
What?
I have to say this, if you don't mind. I always have to interject the African spirit. And a lot of the Asian population learned from Africans. So like the Kung Fu, Kung Fu was actually an African practice, and that is also demonstrated or was translated into an art form, a martial art form. slash dance, fake dance in Cuba, not Cuba, Brazil, with the capoeira, with the
Capoeira.
capoeira, with the enslaved population would seem like they were dancing. They would pretend like they were dancing, but they were actually kung fu and martial arts. So a lot of times, just like with yoga, all of these practices, these healing practices, qigong, tai chi, yoga, kung fu. Kung fu was not really like a defense mechanism. It was like yoga. It was healing. It was like a practice also. And so a lot of this comes from our ancient African peoples, but yeah, but
So,
and we're never given that due, never given that credit. So I just had to just say that, even though yes, like yoga is attributed to the Indian people, Qigong and Tai Chi is attributed to the certain Asian populations. All of that comes from Africans, because those Africans left from out of the continent of Africa and migrated over into India. And Asians were always coming, just like they're doing right now. They were always coming over to Africa, and Africans going over to Asia, because people travel like they do now.
They interchange.
So anyway,
yes.
exactly.
Yes.
Thank you. Same African pyramids like we see in Mexico, they're right over there in Asia too.
Thank you.
Okay, so anyway.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We have to keep that up front to let people know.
That's right.
Because when I looked up alternative healing so that I can get a good description, I saw Japanese, I saw German, French. I was like, where's Africa?
Exactly.
I mean, if African people were here first, so what about us? You don't think we Africans practice natural healing?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, we do. That's where it comes from.
We have to do our own research.
And,
so that is basically the difference in the two. We have martial Qigong is more for the physical fit. Meditation Qigong uses visualization and sounds to relax the mind, and is also used for healing. And Qigong moves energy to specific parts of the body, and some forms are actually used to reduce radiation and chemo. So it is really quite healing for the body without the use of drugs. And I like to refer to this as moving meditation, because you are meditating when you're doing this.
Oh, I see now. It all makes sense. Okay, moving meditation.
Moving meditation.
Love it.
We will save Mudras, because that's, I'd hate to run through that in 3 minutes. There's another practice of using your hands to direct the flow of energy. The most popular one that people are maybe familiar with is the Gaian, G-A-Y-A-N, Gaian Mudra, where you take your thumb and your index finger and you touch them, and you close your eyes, you sit in the lotus position. That is a mudra position. Excuse me.
That's the one that I use mostly, because that's the one that I'm familiar with, and I think I read that one is like it's a good mudra to use if you want to draw back into yourself, like the energy from outside, and then draw it back into yourself when you want to have some introspection and kind of go into yourself. Exactly. So that's why you have the index finger coming back towards you, to connecting to or touching the thumb.
Right. And also it's important as to whether your palms are facing the earth, which is grounding, or if your palms are facing up towards the heavens, and that is connecting with your inner self. And that is more used. It's used mostly by gurus and masters, because they've grounded. They're already grounded. Many of us are not very grounded, like we should be, and we try to reach to the higher self first, go straight to that seventh crown when we haven't rooted ourselves. So actually palms down with your thumb and fingertips touching, that's grounding, and up is connecting with your higher self.
Well, I look forward to hearing about the mudras. So I'm going to have to try that one, though, with my palms facing down, because I do need some more grounding in my life. Ooh, I need some grounding. So I think we should pick back up on this for sure. We said we would have to break this up into 2 shows anyway, because the benefits of meditation, oh my goodness, I have a list of so many benefits of meditation, like mindfulness, helping to decrease depression, and meditation used to help decrease your pain, like physical pain. And parents, if you have children that are considered hyperactive, meditation is like the hottest therapy for children right now. So meditation for children, it is so helpful. There are meditation practices used in place of detention. So instead of having the children just sitting in some detention hall and they're acting up and still or whatever, being disruptive, they now go to detention and they actually meditate. So
wonderful.
Yes, and I do want to share, when we pick back up on this, how mindfulness meditation is said to may even help treat HIV. So,
oh wow,
yeah, we're going to talk more about that and how it helps reduce heart disease and stroke and blood pressure. You know how you black people are always being told at the doctor's office you have high blood pressure, which I'm kind of wondering about that, because according to some alternative and holistic professionals, there's a difference in, like, people with a higher melanin content. Our body registers differently from some other people, and so I don't know. I don't know. I'm almost
we have a different set of red blood cells. We don't have the same count of blood cells as the Europeans do. There are quite a few different scientific figures, stats that are quite different. And it has been known since 1971, I believe, the differences, the physiological differences in Europeans and people of African descent, which makes a huge difference in the diagnosis, because the diagnosis is based on European physiological body versus African. So it makes a difference. Really makes a difference.
Yeah. I know Dr. Layla Africa has a few lectures on that, and I think Dr. Jewel Pookrum speaks about that.
She does. She does.
And she's a medical doctor, so it requires deep thought and research and study. That's the topic for deep thought, research, and study. So, can you give us like maybe a couple of minutes to just breathe in, just to calm us all down for bed, and we can feel relaxed and wake up tomorrow and be ready to have a wonderful, beautiful, prosperous day?
Of course. So many times, with everything that's going on in this country and the world, we find ourselves in the constant flight or fight mode, which is not really good for our health. It's okay to be in the flight or fight mode when our lives are in danger. That's when we need the extra adrenaline. But it's not good for us to be in this type of a breathing mode on a constant basis, taking short, not full breaths, because your breath connects you with your higher self, and if you're not fully connected, you're actually shortening your life. So we're going to do what's called an ocean's breath. When you feel angry, irritated, or frustrated, this is a good breath, a breathing exercise to do. It's called ocean's breath, or Ujjayi, which means victorious breath. So this will immediately soothe and settle your mind. So find yourself a comfortable position for your body. If you're sitting in a chair, put your feet on the floor. Allow your shoulders to relax down, away from your ears. You probably need to bring your shoulders up to your ears and then just drop them. Okay, relax your hips, your thighs, your knees. Relax your throat, relax your tongue, relax your face muscles. Soften the skin of your face and your throat and close your eyes. So we're going to take an inhalation that is slightly deeper than normal with your mouth closed. You're going to exhale through your nose while constricting your throat muscles. So if you're doing this correctly, you should hear sounds like waves in the ocean. So I am going to sort of demonstrate. Just listen carefully. Again. So if you find it difficult to do this, you can get the hang of it by exhaling with your mouth open so that you hear this as you exhale.
Okay.
So inhale. Now exhale through your mouth and make the sound. So inhale for about a count of 4. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now exhale and make the ha sound. Now see if you can make the ha sound with your lips closed. And constrict the back of your throat so that you'll have that ocean sound in the back. Inhale. Exhale. Lips closed. When you exhale, your stomach should go as flat as possible. And remember that the more you exhale, the more toxin will be released from your body.
Ooh.
It's actually better than eating fruits, although we won't substitute this for eating fruit. But by eating fruits, you're eliminating toxins. If you exhale completely like we just did, you're eliminating 95% of your toxins.
And see, that's why. Go ahead.
Sometimes we don't exhale completely. We'll exhale like this.
Right.
Like this. A real quick, short one. But exhale so that your stomach just goes to the back of your spine.
Back of your spine. Right, like your navel touching your spine. And I was going to say, that's why you have people that are breatharians, because it's all about your breathing. You can live off your breath if you breathe properly. All of this having to consume. Notice how over the past few years they started telling us you need to have 5 meals a day, 5 small meals a day. I don't know about this. You can maybe just want me to just constantly have some kind of food to buy to eat all day long.
Exactly, to fill their pockets, the food distributors.
Right.
You gotta have breakfast. You gotta have lunch. You gotta have a snack. You gotta have a big dinner. You gotta have something after dinner. You gotta have a midnight meal.
Right.
No.
Yeah, and then you want to charge an arm and a leg for almonds and little dried fruit and all these snacks and pistachios and things like that. Whereas if we lived on the land where we can go and have our own pecans and pistachios and whatever, plums and fruit and raisins and all of this, grapes and things like that, then we could have all of these little snacks like we used to. Without having to spend all of this money. I just refuse to spend all this money in the grocery store. But thank you, Feather Life, for that pranayama. Now, what was the name of that particular one?
Ocean's Breath. Just think of Ocean's
Breath. All right, Ocean's Breath.
Very calming, very calming.
All right, okay, cool. Love it, love it, love it. So thank you, and we will be back on next week. And we're going to talk more about our alternative healing practices. So we want you to have a beautiful week and a beautiful weekend. And thank you so much. And namaste. Thank you, Scotty. Thank you for the light. Thank you, listeners. Peace and good night.
Ratri.
The organizer has ended this Uber conference. Goodbye.